Good evening. Happy Sunday to you. I'm meteorologist Robb Ellis. I want to update you on what we expect through the rest of this evening. I know it's already been a windy day. You may have a lot of questions because the next 12 to 24 hours, it's going to be quite a roller coaster ride. The first thing we're going to be dealing with is windy conditions and warm temperatures. And then this is the thing we're most concerned about. This is the severe threat from the Storm Prediction Center. Level 3 on a scale of 1 to 5. This does include a good portion of Indiana. The highest threat is going to be a little farther to the south and west, but there's going to be enough of this spilling over into Indiana that we could see some significant severe weather as this moves through. Speaking of significant, a couple of things on this map when we look at probabilities for tornado, for wind, and for hail, because we can break that down into each three of those. Let's start with tornado. The first thing let's talk about is the color shading. That's a probability. What is the chance that any given location will have a tornado? What is the probability that we'll see a tornado within 25 miles of any given location? You see the numbers here, a 2% chance, a 5% chance, a 10% chance. I know those numbers don't sound like a lot, but statistically, once you get into the 10% chance range, that is pretty significant. That chance is higher to the south and west. The probability that we'll see a tornado pop up, or at least a warning pop up, is certainly going to be there with us for tonight. The other thing on this map is the intensity, or the chance that some of those tornadoes, if they do spawn, could be on the stronger side. And what you're looking at there is the hatched marking that's on the map. So two things you're looking at: the probability, that's the colored shading, and then the intensity, the possibility that we could see up to EF2 intensity tornadoes. That's in the hatch. It essentially includes all of the same areas, although you do see some locations here into the Appalachians don't quite have that hatched area. The atmosphere is ripe for strong winds and tornadoes. Now, the biggest concern with the line when it moves through is going to be damaging winds. Also the same type of categories here. There is a probability that you'll receive wind damage, and we're up into 30 to maybe 45% category here. That's a pretty significant category. The southern part of the state, about a 50-50 chance that we'll see wind damage somewhere within 25 miles of any given location. That's statistically how this is derived. Then there's also that hatched marking here, which is the possibility that we could see winds over 70 miles per hour. So statistically, things are set up in the atmosphere that we are likely to see some damaging winds and the possibility of an isolated tornado. The hail chance is lower. I know earlier this week we had some big severe weather when we talk about northern parts of Indiana and Illinois with tornadoes and hailstones. The hail threat with that was there. It's not going to be as big for tonight. We don't think hail is going to be the primary concern here. Already starting to see this line get underway, and this is just within the last 6 hours or so. Watch the line go from non-existent to forming, and we're going to watch this race across all of Illinois through Indiana, across the Mississippi and Ohio River, and already we're starting to see some warnings fire up. I expect that this entire line will go at least severe thunderstorm warned, and then we'll see that continue to march to the east. Embedded within that, you notice a couple of these cells are starting to rotate. We'll have to see how this progresses through the evening to see if this is going to become much more tornadic in nature, or if the tornado threat will start to diminish and then will become much more of a severe thunderstorm threat. Each event is a little bit different depending on how the atmosphere is set up, and you can see already there are a good number of tornado warnings that are popping up. You can see most of these are radar indicated tornadoes, at least 3 that we're seeing on the board here. Although farther to the north we don't have quite as much active weather, but there are a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings and a tornado warning just on the northwest side of St. Louis. That still has a good bit of travel time before it arrives across parts of central Illinois and eventually gets into Indiana. A couple of things I want to point out here, though. There are a few scattered showers that are starting to pop up out ahead of the line. The line is actually back to the west just a little bit. You can't see it from the Indy radar, but you can from the Illinois radar. That's the line that we're watching. But this little area of thunderstorms we'll have to watch. Will it just be a couple of pop-ups, or will these become something we have to be concerned about before the line arrives sometime later this evening? And I'll get into timing here in just a moment. No warnings in place at the moment when it comes to severe weather. That's severe thunderstorm, tornado, or flash flood warnings. None of those at the moment. What we do have are high wind warnings. High wind warnings, it's all of this kind of orange shade that you see. That's going to go until 10 p.m., although the farther east you go over to, say, Kentucky, we do have some counties that will have that wind warning until 8 p.m. A new update from the 4 p.m. update, and if you've been watching us here on WTHR+, this is new from when I brought you this live update at 4 o'clock. Now here at 5 o'clock, we're looking at tornado watches extending to the east. That will likely continue pushing to the east, and at some point I expect that central Indiana will go under a tornado watch sometime this evening. Likely will carry us through about 1 o'clock in the morning. I'd say with probably by 7 o'clock or so, maybe 8 o'clock, we'll see a tornado watch issued, including the high wind warning that's already in place. We do have high winds that are in place. They are coming down just a little bit from where they were. 46 miles per hour is the latest gust from the National Weather Service out at the airport. We do have some gusts 30 to 40 miles per hour. This is not as high as the max wind gust that we saw a little bit earlier in the day. 55 was the maximum wind gust, excuse me, for Indianapolis. And we did have a sustained wind of 40 miles per hour, which is pretty impressive in and of itself. That's essentially a tropical storm warning at this point that we'd be under, except there's no tropical weather that's in place. So you can see some of the 50 mile per hour gusts that we've seen, 56 mile per hour wind gusts for Bloomington. I did see another confirmed report of Shelby County where we got a gust to, I believe, 57 miles per hour. So there are some areas where we're seeing slightly higher amounts. We're going to continue to watch these cameras. They do have a bit of a shake. We're also watching all of keeping all of the eyes on as much of the storm as we can as it approaches, looking to the south, because we do expect some storms to approach the downtown area sometime between 9 and 10 o'clock tonight. And of course, traffic has been a concern today because of the gusty winds that we've had. We've had some issues with that. We had issues on Friday. We've had more issues today with some downed power poles and things like that in some of the rural areas, but also just watching the skies as the system gets a little bit closer. In the meantime, before the severe weather arrives, we have temperatures that are up into the 70s, and this is part of the problem. It's feeding those storms as they move in. If we can lose some of the heating of the day before the storms get here, that will help. But a lot of the problem is the mid-levels of the atmosphere just have so much energy, so much wind energy. As these storms roll through, they'll tap into that and they'll push some of that to the surface. 70s in place right now. Now here's your timing. This is a new model run that just came in. So one of the things I've noticed with this, and I did just take one quick peek at this before we started right at 5 o'clock, it does have a little bit more cellular in nature appearance to the model output. I don't know if I need to read anything into that just yet. There's still a little bit of a linear structure here, but what that has me concerned for is that we might see some supercellular structures out ahead of this. That would not bode well for our tornado concern. I think that though this model, we're going to have to watch and see how it evolves through time. It does have a linear feature that will sweep across the state sometime between 9 and say 11 o'clock. Good bit of heavy rain. Likely within these darker areas, you're going to have some extremely gusty winds. The winds are gusty already, 40 to 50 miles per hour. Once this heavy rain comes through, it's going to push down even stronger winds to the surface, maybe 60, 70 mile per hour winds as it slides through. And then we'll go from 60 and 70 degree temperatures through the 50s. Overnight, we'll drop into the 40s. We'll drop into the 30s. And yes, I think by tomorrow morning at sunrise, we're going to be in the 20 degree readings because this front is that strong that's going to have that big of a cold air mass behind it. They've got blizzard warnings to the north and west of us. Thankfully, we don't have anything like that, and the snow showers that we're expecting early Monday aren't expected to cause significant accumulating snow, but there may be some patchy spots where the temperatures can drop fast enough and we have some problems with slick roadways. As far as the severe weather, 8 p.m. to 2 a.m. is what we're watching. Line of severe storms to roll through. I'd say for the metro, we're probably looking at about 10 o'clock at this point. Timing has slowed down just a little bit, although radar looks impressive at the moment. Damaging wind is our biggest concern, but tornadoes could be possible. Make sure you have multiple ways to receive alerts, and a couple things to keep in mind. Charge your phones because you're definitely going to need that if the power goes out. We're talking about gusty winds, maybe bringing down trees and power lines. That could cause your power to go out. Make sure you have the phone. The other thing, even though we're talking about damaging winds, if we have strong enough thunderstorms, it will alert you on your phone in the same way that a tornado warning does if a tornado warning is for your area. That's the type of thunderstorms we could be talking about for tonight. In this area, really all of central Indiana, you need to make sure that you are aware of that. We are going to have an update at 6 o'clock. It'll be WTHR News at 6, depending on how Goff on WTHR pushes us just a little bit. We'll keep our eye on that. Then hourly updates for tonight, and once the severe thunderstorm warnings or tornado warnings start to kick off in Indiana, we will be here live, wall to wall, myself and meteorologist Sean Ash. Keep it tuned right here and make sure you stay safe this evening.